Hi guys, it's Sophie. So we have another Around the World wrap up today, and today we're starting off in Denmark. So the book that I chose for Denmark was Borderliners by Peter Hoeg, and this book, guys, this book, I kind of knew there was something about it that was going to appeal to me, just initially in reading it. Borderliners, I am a borderliner, I'm a borderline, I am one of these people. That was one of my initial things, so I was kind of drawn to that, and then I read the synopsis and it was special children in a school who are playing with the concepts of time, and I was like, yes, this is perfect. Yeah, this is a bit of a weird, wild ride. This is essentially kind of what it says on the tin. These are children who are held in this really odd school that kind of smacks of institution and experiment, and whilst they're there they feel that part of this experience of being in this school and being kind of abandoned by everybody is that they get to alter the way in which time is perceived and try to determine the meaning of time. And my nerdy little heart is here for that. I'm not going to chat too much about the characters and about the story, though it is lovely and just touching. But yes, I think the thing that I loved most about this was just that it plays with philosophy and physics and feeling and the way in which our experience of the world changes our experience of time and reality and space. Yeah, and this is one of those books that I underlined, so you know, if you guys have been here for a minute or two, you know that means there are bits of pieces in there that really meant something to me. Okay, so this one for example, it's talking about a young girl who is telling herself when her mother's walked away from her that her mummy will be back soon. It said she has introduced order into the chaotic sorrow of being separated from the woman by explaining that there was a time limit, that this was temporary, this would come to an end. She used time in order to cope with the pain of a separation. There's just these clever ways in which it's playing with the concept of time and the way in which we view our lives, and I just really liked it. It was something that felt really different. Yeah, I'm really glad I read it, and if you're interested in any of those things, I know it's a bit niche, do have a go. And then next we have Poland. So for Poland I picked Chasing the King of Hearts by Hanna Krall. This book is one that I was really looking forward to, and I kind of have mixed feelings about it because I think it was really well done, but I think I was kind of done with this topic by the time I got here. So I've spoken a little bit in my last wrap up about how Europe is dripping in the Holocaust. When you read Europe, and I'm going to talk about this more when I do my continent catch up, but when you read Europe, sort of one European book after another, there's this echo of World War I and World War II and the Holocaust through everything. It might be a contemporary book, but it's just there. And by the time I got to this book, which is specifically about the Holocaust and specifically about Auschwitz, I felt so overwhelmed by it. I don't think I could give it the attention it needed. This is a story that's based on a true story, so kind of the added emotional impact of having pictures of the people who are dying in there. I'll see if I can find one. Yeah, so she'll be discussing trying to find her husband and then put a picture in for you. The whole story is kind of told in vignettes, it's told in such short little sections, and I think, I think probably if you were interested in picking up a book about the Holocaust or about what Poland was like during the Holocaust, this would probably be a really good book to pick, but I was just so saturated by it. I felt it, but I couldn't feel it so strongly because I was just so tired by it, I suppose. I think what I gained most from this book above everything else was the relentlessness of life, of life trying to exist, being a Jewish person, because in my head it was just kind of one point at which everyone was gathered up, as opposed to it being like arrests and restrictions of freedom and pretending to be someone else and maybe getting away for a bit and then being arrested again and going to a camp and maybe getting out, and then like in my head it was that you got to a camp and that was it. So I think having that sense of fleeing and capture and fleeing and capture and fleeing and capture, I think that kind of added in a weird way to like my tiredness, my like lethargy on this subject, because it was like it felt tiring, like to read it. Not that the book was bad, but I could tell how frustrating and sapping it must have been to try and live like that. So yeah, I don't really know what to say about that other than what I already have, but it's not a bad book by any means. It's really well written. I think it's really beautifully translated. I just think probably it was a case of the wrong book at the wrong time, which is a shame. It's probably the first like piece of collateral damage from the fact I'm reading in order this year. But I will be out of Europe fairly soon. I'm moving slightly further away from this topic, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that, can't lie. And next we have the Czech Republic. So my pick for the Czech Republic was The Festival of Insignificance by Milan Kundera. This book also came recommended to me by a friend when I told them I was doing around the world, and I was really keen to pick it up and see what all the fuss is about. This author is very well known, very well loved, but I wasn't a fan. I knew I wasn't a fan from the very beginning of the book. I'm going to read you the first section, which comes from Alan Meditates on the Navel, which is the chapter title. He observed the young girls, who, every one of them, showed her naked navel between trousers belted very low and a t-shirt cut very short. He was captivated and even disturbed. It was as though their seductive power no longer resided in their thighs, their buttocks or their breasts, but in that small round hole located in the centre of his body. This provoked him to reflect. If a man, or an era, sees the centre of female seductive power in her thighs, how to describe and define the peculiarity of that erotic orientation? He improvised an answer. The length of the thighs is the metaphorical image. Right, okay, stop. Like that. I was willing to like give this a shot, and I just can't. I'm so bored of the male sexual gaze on females being treated as though it is a topic for kind of serious intellectual discussion. Like, I hate the idea of women as an object being used as like a man or an era. Like, I'm so freaking done with that. I really am. So I did finish it, I did read the whole book, and I just felt like it felt unfinished, it felt like it was just, skipping from one thing to another, and I didn't really get a sense of plot or storyline. It just kind of happened, like just little sections of things happening, and there wasn't anything here for me to love. There wasn't anything here for me to love at all, and I don't know whether the misogyny is, a theme in his work, but I'm not going to give him another shot. At least not for a long time. Yeah, I just really don't have any desire to engage with work like this anymore. I'm done with it. Next is Slovakia. So for Slovakia, I read Seeing People Off by Jana Benova. This is a story about a young couple's relationship and their kind of being with one another. It's also about, sort of oddly, this kind of fantasy / relationship that the female partner has with a celebrity of some variety, and we're kind of just playing with the idea of how people interact and just life. Kind of similar to the Kundera. This isn't a plot book. This is not a book in which anything really happens. It's much more a kind of slow viewing of life, which sometimes I don't mind, but this one just didn't hit my mark. I think other people might like this, which is strange because I always feel as though I can't really recommend a book that I don't like, but I can see that other people may. The writing was quite thick and dense. It was nice, it was lyrical language, and I think when I kind of stopped and read just little sections of it, I thought the writing was really nice, but the overall kind of sense it gave me made me kind of feel a little bit as though kind of what's the point? I think I need a bit more plot than this offered, but I can imagine that this might be something like Mercedes maybe you might like, but for people who just like that kind of sense of a place or a time as opposed to it being anything that happened. And there are some bits that are genuinely like funny, like really dark humour, which I did like they talk about 9/11 and a taxi, I think it's a taxi driver says like it's too much, like I could have said like, oh, America got what it's coming if it had been like a bus station, but who would do that? And it's just like that kind of cringy, horrible, like dark humour, like oh my god, you don't say that. But there were bits like that where it's kind of reflecting on events, like life events, sort of all over the world, and kind of just having this really dark take on them, which were quite funny. And that sounds really bad, that sounds like it's just kind of mocking tragedy, but it isn't. It was just kind of the idea of making light of everything. Yeah, this is an interesting one. As I say, I really didn't love it. I didn't love it. I thought it was fine, but it didn't do for me what it needed to do to kind of make me love it. But I can also see that other people might actually find it does exactly what they need it to do. That's such a rambly, shitty review of but I think what I'm trying to say is the book's good, but it isn't mine. Like, we're gonna go with that. And then next we have Hungary. I'm so excited to talk to you about this book. I'm so excited to talk to you about this book. Borderliners I was super excited to have out as well, and this one, The Last Wolf, I am more excited to talk about. Like, I've been saving this book for such a long time. I bought this in the summer. I bought this in the summer when I wasn't doing very well and I needed to cheer myself up. And it's beautiful. Look at the book, it's gorgeous. I love it. I think that Laszlo, what's he called? Laszlo, bloody hell. Kranznahorkai? We'll have a go at that. Maybe someone that I need to read more of, maybe like a new favourite, which means I need to know how to say his name at some stage in future. Yes, this was fabulous. This is sort of 3 interrelated short stories. The first one is called The Last Wolf, and it is told in one sentence, which is 75 pages long. And it makes sense, it flows, it doesn't feel weird. I've read books before where they're trying to do something like this and they're trying to make that interesting piece of form and it just clatters along, and if this didn't, it flowed and was beautiful. The pages are sort of short pages as well, which meant you kind of fly through it when you're reading it. Yeah, so the first story is about this man who is sitting in a Berlin bar telling this really bored barkeeper a story about how he was sort of recruited to do this strange, like, philosophical piece of writing about this area of Spain that is essentially got near nothing in it, and he has no idea why he's been asked or why he's been summoned, but he goes and he starts to find out more about the wolves that used to live in the area, and specifically the last wolf that ever lived. I don't want to say more than that, but it's just fabulous. It was so gripping, like, and I nearly cried at the end. Like, I loved it. Like, I absolutely loved it. And then the next one is called The Game Warden. That's the next one, isn't it? Yeah, so there's The Game Warden and The Death of a Craft, and they're both under Herman. And this is almost like the same kind of idea, but from the other side. So this is about the trapper of noxious beasts, who is the man who is in charge of trying to catch and kill these creatures of the forest, and it tells his story and how he relates to the creatures and to the people. I absolutely loved this. Like, I absolutely loved this. This is probably going to be one of my top books of the year. It would take some really good books to knock this out. But I'm just so glad I read it. I'm definitely going to be reading more of him in future. It's something really special, and it's something storytelling and the energy and the pace and it's just beautiful storytelling. Like it's such good weaving together of plot and place and people, and yeah, it was just absolutely masterful. And I'm so looking forward to reading more of him. This is my best pick so far of the Around the World challenge. This is my favourite one that I found, and I wouldn't have found it if not for Around the World. So I'm very pleased that I'm taking part in that. I hope that you guys have chosen to buy one of either Borderliners or The Last Wolf. Yeah, seriously though, those books are really good. I really love both of them. Let me know if you've read any of the books. Let me know especially what you think of Milan Kundera, because I know those people really like him, and I was kind of hoping to be one of those people and be in with it too, but it's not even vaguely my thing. So do feel free to let me know why I'm wrong in the comments down below. And why I've kind of missed the point, because that I get that, it's your favourite author. But yes, I will chat to you guys soon in my next video, which is going to be a Around the World haul, and then after that I expect I'll be talking to you again about more wrap-ups. I hope you're enjoying it. I know that there's been a few people who have been vanished and disappeared from the channel since I started doing this, but I'm actually completely fine with that. I thought it was going to bother me, I knew it was going to be an option, I've spoken about it like before I started filming this, but this challenge has been something that has been so valuable for me, and is something that I feel is just so worth my time that I literally don't care. Like I literally don't care, and hopefully those of you who do enjoy it and do like watching this content have been sort of finding some interesting things out. And obviously thank you to everyone who's here and sticking around and watching and engaging, because it's great to be able to share this journey with other people as well. I hope you're well, look after yourselves until I see you again. Bye bye.